Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, February 23rd, 2024. You know what that means? It's time to answer all of your burning questions live. See what you got for me today, friends. Hey, take a quick second wherever you're watching to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live, which this week, if you're keeping score, has been twice now. Hey, Instagram friends, it's good to finally be able to join you all as well. Love seeing so many of you in the stream as well. Let me know where you're watching from. Drop a note in the comments, and I'll just look at all of these places so that I can see them. It'll be great. Let's see who we got. Hey, happy Friday, Wade. Good to see you. Hey, Heather. What's going on with Kentucky? It's a great question, Heather. Hey, Charlie. Happy Friday. Hey, Sherry. Good to see you here. Thanks, Heather, for reminding me to get the ACT page open so we can talk about that stuff as well. John, I hope that the stream is only frozen for you. I can see it running on Instagram over there in these other windows. So I think it's working. Hey, Marvin in Boynton Beach. Hey, person asking about New Hampshire. Yes, things are happening in New Hampshire. It's actually one of our stories for this week, so we'll be talking about that. Hello, growing to the top in Montana. Oh, I'm so sorry. There is, in fact, news about Wisconsin, and it's terrible for cannabis policy. Hey, Miami on Instagram. Texas, Pittsburgh, Orlando. Special place in my heart for you, Julie, in Orlando. Greetings from Cape May, New Jersey. I love that. We've got New Jersey. Hey, Canna Therapy, good to see you. We've got New Jersey watching, and we have New Jersey on the list of news stories for today. Lots of Virginia. We're definitely going to talk about that. Okay, let's get into that. Hey, Fred, good to see you. Hello, hi, science. All right. This is weird because I have to look down to see it. I don't think I want to be looking down the whole time. I want to look right here into your eyes. Let's talk about some news, and I'm going to go with the state. The state news is first. Gonna keep up. There's so many of you today. I love it. Hey, Tom Keene. Good to see you, Tom Keene, state rep from Orlando. My first hometown. All right, let's talk about Arkansas. Attorney General Tim Griffin approved ballot title language for a citizens initiative. This is called the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Amendment of 2024. He previously rejected an earlier version of the amendment, saying that he thought the language was ambiguous. Well, he's approved this one. He's signed off on it, and this proposed ballot measure would expand, medical cannabis access in Arkansas. Hey, friends on Instagram, you won't be able to see these delightful comments that I'm posting. However, you can just head right to the NORML website, norml.org, go in the news section, and you can read all these stories right there. You can also subscribe to the NORML newsletter, and then you would just get these tasty little nuggets delivered right to your inbox. Head to norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the weekend weed read box as well. That comes out on Saturdays. It's a perfect way to start your day with a cup of coffee. All right, so that's what's happening in Arkansas. We also have a pretty interesting milestone in New Jersey that activists there celebrated this week. So New Jersey passed a legalization measure that took effect in 2021. And what activists were celebrating is that this marked 3 years later the prevention of over 100,000 marijuana arrests. You can check that story out and more on the NORML website. But hey, congratulations, New Jersey, on 3 years of legalization and 100,000 fewer marijuana arrests. Cave Foundation, I see you. We're definitely going to talk about Virginia people. Don't worry. All right, speaking of New Hampshire, someone had a question about New Hampshire earlier. I have that story for you as well. Hello, Ellie. Good to see you. All right, in the New Hampshire State House, what do they call it? House of Representatives there? They probably don't call it House of Delegates. The New Hampshire House of Representatives advanced an adult use legalization measure. And this bill provides a framework for the establishment of up to 15 retail facilities, and adults would be able to possess up to 4 ounces of cannabis. Lawmakers approved the bill by a vote of 239 to 141. And fascinatingly enough, New Hampshire is the only northeastern state that has not yet legalized and regulated the adult use market. So welcome to this century, New Hampshire. Please do better than Virginia. So I hope that answers. Heather Jackson, please tell me what you wanted. I can't remember. What's going on with Kentucky? I'm hopefully Lauren is watching, but I'm also going to look at the ACT page after. I literally wrote myself a note, Heather, and circled it. That doesn't mean anything, but hopefully it'll help me remember to talk about Kentucky. All right. What other states? New York, big news for New York. So New York had some proposed rules for home cultivation, one of those legal states that for some reason doesn't have home cultivation, but they will, because regulators have given approval to the proposed regulations. I believe there's a 60-day comment period still that will take place. It permits up to 6 plants, I think. The new regulations, yes, will permit an adult to grow up to 6 plants, but no more than 3 can be mature, of course, on private property, and they can harvest up to 5 pounds of flower. They can also convert their own flower to concentrate. Households with multiple adults will be able to have a total of 6 mature plants. And they can grow from seeds, or they can purchase immature plants from licensed providers. Congratulations, New York. Soon you'll be able to grow your own. Hello, pot calls the kettle bong. It's been a minute. Welcome back. Ellie, what a week indeed. Golf claps for New Hampshire. I think you're funny. Hey, Tree, good to see you. Texas does need to get with it. Which, you know, brings me to my favorite. Oh, God, I got to go all the way over here. The problem with Texas is that elections have consequences. This is the problem with so many states, like Virginia, like Wisconsin. Elections have consequences. So you have to make good choices, friends. Oh, great. Alexa's getting involved. Look, if you elect terrible lawmakers, you will get terrible laws. When it's time to vote, make sure you are going to Smoke the Vote, NORML's voter guide, so you know where the candidates stand on cannabis policy. That's what we're here to talk about. That's what our voter guide is about. People love to say, "Oh, yeah, but what about this issue?" We don't care about that today. We're only here talking about cannabis policy. Anyhow, yeah, the consequences are a struggle, right? Yes, I agree with all these things. Also, I agree that Darius Rucker did not deserve to be arrested for cannabis possession, of course. That's absurd. Does anybody know what the governor said about Kentucky? I bet Lauren knows. I bet Matt knows. I wonder if they're watching. I'll try to catch up on all your questions. Canotherapy RVA, is there a pound limit for growing our plants here? So because it says RVA, I'm going to assume that means Richmond, Virginia. Canotherapy in Virginia, adults can grow up to 4 plants per household. Doesn't matter if they're mature or immature, it's 4 plants total, regardless of what they're at. And you can possess whatever, as long as it's for personal use. Possession with intent to distribute in any amount is illegal in Virginia. It doesn't matter if it's a gram, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's possession with intent to distribute, it's illegal. If it's for possession for personal use and you have it in your home properly secured, it's legal. You can have 1 ounce on your person in public. You cannot have an open container in your car. You cannot consume or offer or share in public. Oh, Sue, I hope I got that. Sue, there's no, I see your question too. Doesn't matter. Personal use, non-specific. Any news on Nebraska, Judy? I don't have any. I don't have any news on Nebraska, but I'll look at the action page as well. Canotherapy, yes, 4 plants. You can have 4 plants. It doesn't matter if they're flowering or not. Oh, thank you for the update on the Kentucky governor. Was supposed to sign an executive order today. I did not hear about that. I did hear a lot of things at the Virginia General Assembly today, though. Boy, that was a treat. We're going to talk about that. But I'm going to look at the ACT page because there's a circle right here that says Kentucky, and I don't want to forget, other than I don't know what the executive order was about. Okay, so I can tell you in Kentucky, there are 2 bills on NORML's ACT page. There are 2 bills. I think Kentucky NORML may have some additional action alerts, but we have 2 on the NORML Take Action page. We have HB 72 in Kentucky, which is currently in committee. Looks like it's in the committee on committees. Is that really something y'all have? That's ridiculous. Anyhow, yeah, it's in the committee on committees, apparently. HB 72, which is a legalization bill. And our action alert is in support of that. Then we have also in Kentucky, Senate Bill 32, which is a bill NORML is opposing. And this is a bill presumably to enact a per se DUID limit for THC metabolites. I'm going to click it and see. Yeah, it is. It's a bill that attempts to establish an unscientific THC blood limit of 5 nanograms. So make sure you're opposing that. I hope that answered your questions, Heather, about Kentucky. If not, please message Kentucky NORML because they have so many more things to tell you about Kentucky. Any news? Hey, Todd. Todd asks if there's any news on North Carolina. Why is my computer making dinging sounds? No, thank you. There is one bill pending in North Carolina. That's Senate Bill 3. It's the North Carolina Compassionate Care Act. It has crossed over. Oh, that crossed over in 2023. Is that the one that I had a note on? Anyhow, it's not what y'all are here for. There's an action alert for North Carolina still on our Take Action page. That's what I can tell you, Samuel. Todd. All right, Virginia's getting loud. Hey, ma'ams, is the Virginia Compromise, this person is asking, is the Virginia Compromise between the General Assembly and the Senate, between the House and the Senate, workable? Could this agreement be used later if Red Vest vetoes? No. It's not going to pass with a supermajority. Absolutely not. Judy, I don't see anything pending in Nebraska at this point in time. Cody, I know where those tax dollars go matters, but as long as people aren't in handcuffs, it's kind of secondary, isn't it? There was a whole discussion about that this morning in Virginia, not related to cannabis, but related to the exorbitant amount people who are incarcerated have to pay for things like cereal. How the police need those monies to do things. Anyhow. Hey, JT, yes, I did just see the news out of Germany and their legalization effort. High five, Germany. Oh, Jake Tapper. All right. Yeah. Hey, RJ. I see your comment about asking the media to cover national legalization. We always love when that happens. Yep. Hey, Kellyanne, asking about Pennsylvania. I'm looking at it right now. Senate Bill 846. Is the legalization bill. There's also a decrim bill, which is Senate Bill 1028 in Pennsylvania. I know that they had hearings. I believe it was earlier this week. But since it's legislative session, it's really difficult to tell one day apart from the other. But there were hearings recently in Pennsylvania discussing legalization. And I know that Jeff Reedy offered, from Lehigh Valley NORML, offered testimony. All right, let's check out what Instagram. Hey, Street Glide. New Hampshire actually had some action in the House They did pass a legalization measure. You can read about that on the NORML website, normal.org. So good news. Hey, Chess, has anyone asked about Texas? I don't think anyone asked this explicitly about Texas, but they did say Texas needs to get its act together. We don't have any bills at the moment that we are tracking in Texas, but good news about Texas, aside from you have terrible elected officials, and that's why you have terrible cannabis policy. Good news is you have an excellent NORML chapter there, so make sure you're reaching out to Texas NORML. Hello to the Emerald Cup. I see you. All right. Hey, Rob, asking about Virginia and Mr. Bonds. Yes, also, I see all of your questions about Virginia. So also I see your question, Wade. Let's talk a little bit about Virginia. So there is a really great recap piece that our friends at Marijuana Moment put out. And I am going to share a link to that. Sorry, Instagram, you're going to have to go to marijuanamoment.net and find it yourself, or you can find it on Virginia NORML's Facebook page. But this is what happened. Okay, so normally the House would have its version, the Senate would have its version, which is how we started out. The bills would make their way through, and they would come out at the end a little different, and they would go into a conference committee. And at that point, conferees, people appointed to sit in this committee, would decide how to sort of reconcile the bills into one. Some people, both legislators and lobbyists alike, don't like conference committees because they feel like they don't have control over that product because they're not a conferee, they're not controlling the end result. So what happened instead of going to conference is there was a compromise reached amongst stakeholders, and stakeholders in this instance means industry people. More so people who are not in the industry than people who are currently in Virginia's regulated cannabis industry. The demands are coming from the business interests looking to enter Virginia's cannabis market. And so that's where this compromise comes from. Now, Democrats in the legislature have their own priorities for this bill as well, which includes some equity components for licensing. So they wrote a bill, and it is very well detailed. If you're into the who gets to do what when regarding licenses and licensing criteria, Marijuana Moments piece is going to outline all of that for you. What I'm going to tell you is how it impacts consumers, because that's what NORML does. NORML is a consumer organization. We represent consumer interests. And when it started a day ago, originally the Cannabis Control Authority had asked for a start date of March 1, 2025. It went like this. Originally, one of the bills proposed July 1, 2024, which makes sense because we already have dispensaries in Virginia, and all they have to do is turn on adult use sales there. They're already regulated. You don't have to do anything aside from collect taxes and have a different register. This is what states do. There's nothing special about it. Then there was a push to, oh, no, we gotta wait until 1/1/25 so that some of these other businesses can get ready and they can start selling at the same time. Okay. Then it became, nope, CCA wants it to be March. And woke up yesterday morning, it was like, oh, April. It's got to be April 2025. And then we got to the committee room, and then it was like, no, it's May. It's May 1st, 2025. That's what's in the bill now. The proposal is that sales begin May 1, 2025. So everybody has enough time to figure out how they can best position themselves to capitalize on consumers. The legislature is literally telling consumers to get to the back of the line. Their interests do not matter. What matters is the business interests for those who want to capitalize off of those consumers. There's no industry without consumers. And if you do a conservative estimate on the number of consumers in Virginia, it's still over 1 million consumers. So, tiny handful of businesses, over 1 million consumers before you even account for Canada tourism. Priorities, neat. Anyhow, that's where we are. What's going to happen with the bill? That'll be fun to see, won't it? The House sent their version to the floor. The Senate decided to send the House version that they have to, which is the same, decided to send it to appropriations. I'm going to check and see if anything happened. No, nothing happened to that. Okay. So yeah, the House reported the Senate version, the Senate bill, it's not a version, they're the same now, to the floor, and the Senate decided to send the House bill to appropriations, so that'll come up next week. It'll go to the floor, votes will happen. These bills are very, very likely headed to Governor Youngkin's desk. What's he going to do? Well, that probably depends entirely upon the political footballs that are in play. He wants a stadium. And in order to get that, he's going to have to give Democrats some things. And what are those demands going to be? And then is he willing to give them over? Some Republicans are of the opinion that cannabis is a potential football that he'll be willing to get across the finish line. We'll see. Yes, Melissa, that is the wrong sports ball, but it is in fact political sports ball. Correct. With the brown one, not the orange one. We're doing footballs right now. Hey, Skyline, what is the situation with Tier 1 and through Tier 4 outdoor? The short version of that is that smaller cultivators are permitted in the current bill to cultivate outdoors, whereas larger scale cultivators will be required to cultivate indoors. You can read that Marijuana Moment article. It's going to have more, or you can just read the bill substitute, which should be online right now. Hey, Stephen in Hawaii, watching on Instagram. Stephen says it's horrible out here in Hawaii. You know, I just heard about the testimony that happened in Hawaii around legalization and how wild it was. That's something, but that bill is pending. There are 4 bills actually in Hawaii right now. And a number of legislature has advanced a number of them. The legislature has advanced adult use legalization, expungement, and decriminalization. So for expungement, that's going to be House Bill 1595. But we do have an action alert in support of that. Then we have, those bills numbers are very similar. House Bill 1596 is decriminalization. It's currently in finance, it looks like. And then 2 legalization bills. We've got House Bill 2600 and Senate Bill 3335. Again, this is in Hawaii. It looks like the Senate bill has gone the farthest so far. It passed its second reading as amended and was referred to some committee that I can't decipher from these CPN/WAM, whatever that is. That just happened on the 16th. So there is progress in Hawaii. We have a blog post about that as well on the front page, NORML.org. Yeah, ma'ams, right? Like, it is frustrating that Virginia consumers are put last, but there is some sort of compromise. Again, we're not testifying against the bill. We're not letting perfection get in the way of progress, but we are here to represent consumers and point out that you're getting the short end of the stick, and that it's wild to watch people advocate for policies that create protectionism for illicit operators on one side of their mouth, and then say, oh, we have to do something because of the illicit market. Do you? Are you? What's your priority is clearly not consumer or public safety. Your priority is these business interests. I know some people might say that's not my priority. I'm just trying to get something done, and that's a fair assessment. I would be remiss if I didn't point out what was actually happening, though. There's a lot going on right now. Whoever you are, go away. Thank you, I think, person. What else do I want to tell you about that happened this week? We did a live yesterday, a special episode of Live with NORML. We had some NORML board members on for a discussion for Black History Month and the fight for consumer equity. We had Professor Beverly Moran and Amani Dawson, board members, joined me to talk about issues facing Black consumers, industry stakeholders, and those disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. You can, of course, watch that live stream back if you want. And why wouldn't you want to? I'm going to paste the link for you because I'm just awesome like that. There you go. That was a great conversation we had. We're going to try to do some more specialty content with our lives. So I think we're looking next month. Apparently in March, we celebrate Women's History Month. So we'll be putting together a Women's History Month show for someday, not Fridays, because that's where we answer your burning questions live. And you all have a lot of questions. Look out for the specialty content. Hey, Brian. I like Brian's question. We've gotten a couple of questions about this today over email at NORML. And Brian says, I'm curious how the businesses in really any state are able to sell THCA cannabis. Spoiler alert, THCA cannabis is weed. Is this legal? Depends on what hairs you're splitting, I guess, Brian. All weed, thank you, all weed is THCA prior to being heated. Exactly. That's what it is. But because so many states have adopted language laws that is similar to what is in the 2018 Agriculture Improvement Act, the Farm Bill, that says 0.3% by dry weight, as long as THC, as long as you're cured and ready to use, cannabis flower has less than 0.3% THC by dry weight. Doesn't matter how much THCA it has in it. In these retailers' opinions, they are selling a product they call hemp. But yeah, that's THCA is present in the flower. That's how THC is in the flower. It's THCA. It doesn't become THC until it's decarboxylated. Yes, some amount will be present during the curing process, whatever. Anyhow, it's weed. Laws are poorly written and not enforced, and so that's what you get. Thanks for asking. This is going to be America's cash crop. I mean, it is. It's just not in a tax and regulated way necessarily in every state. Oh, hey, Hazard 503. My good friend Brian Wilson has supported NORML for a long time. Which Brian Wilson is that? Because I know one. And I wonder if it's the same person. But also that seems like a super common name. And I got excited for a minute and I was like, whoa, settle down there. Hey, introspective. Texas legalization is what you're asking about. Texas is going to have to vote better to have legalization. Texas doesn't even have statewide decriminalization yet. Texas does have a medical cannabis program, though, that is operational. So that's better than nothing. Hello, Papa, also on Instagram. I'm sorry that Wyoming sucks. Don't like 12 people live there? Y'all could probably get together and vote. I literally could just hold this sign up over and over all day. Elections have consequences. Oh, it's not the same person, Hazard, but thank you for letting me know. We like Brian's support regardless. Canotherapy RVA doesn't have anything to do with Altria in Virginia. Like, Altria is a tobacco corporation here in Virginia. They couldn't care less about state legalization. Will large corporations like that enter the market once cannabis is no longer under federal prohibition? Sure, because cannabis isn't special. It's going to be commodified like everything else in the United States. But Altria does not care about state legalization in Virginia. They're not trying to enter the market until the end of federal prohibition, in which case lots of big players will enter the market. Exo Hair Lab. Yes, I also hate how they make this all about money and who can get the most out of it. Seeds of Kismet. Yes, these new licensed total limits will ruin the market. They're a little better than they were originally proposed with plant counts, because we were going back in time to I don't care what Michigan's doing. We don't use plant counts and also Michigan's already looking to change that. That's like 15 years ago. Canopy size is how you regulate cannabis in the United States. Anyhow, so they're better in this new compromise version. But if we're serious about having a sustainable market, then the regulator, the Cannabis Control Authority, would be given authority to regulate the market, make appropriate choices for number of licenses and things like that. But instead, hey, let's have a bunch of people with feelings who don't have any expertise in cannabis policy picking arbitrary numbers that you can literally change every single year, because we have a legislative session every single year. So don't forget, they're just made up. We're going down a rabbit hole today, but you all are great. I love your questions. I'm sorry that you are not enjoying your experience, Exo Hair Lab. I can tell you that regardless of what medical dispensary you're going to in Virginia, they should have products that are created in Southwest Virginia by the folks at what was originally Dharma and now operates as GTI. These are Southwest Virginians who got a license and are employing over 100 Virginians to grow cannabis in Southwest Virginia and make these products. And so I hear nothing but good things about their products. You can see what their products are on their website, and then you can look for them at your store, the stores by you. And people really seem to like their products. So I recommend going that route. You can also reach out to the people. It's called Rise. You can reach out. You can email Rise. Their email is on our website. It's on their website. You can email them, and if you say, hey, what can you recommend? And then you can get it at the dispensary that is located by you. They all have each other's products. Look, seeds, I think that there are plenty of people who are concerned about, and I don't know if you're talking about the compromise bill that just came out today. There are plenty of people who are concerned with a lot of the content of these compromise bills. But what's great to know is that we have a legislative session every single year. So the numbers don't mean anything. You can change it every single year. It could be 12 this year and 7,000 next year and 3 the next year and then 200. We have a legislative cycle session every year. You can put different numbers in there, but really what ought to happen is the regulatory authority created to regulate cannabis in Virginia should have the authority to make those decisions and issue licenses in accordance with supply and demand. Thank you all the people who just started following us on Instagram. I can see you. I appreciate the follows. Oh, hey, that's fun. Thanks, Pot. Ohio Cannabis Live is discussing how cops will be looking for high drivers. Hey, here's a pro tip. Don't drive high. It's stupid and irresponsible. Problem solved. John, thanks. That's kind of why we started this show, so that we could just be honest and tell you what's really going on, pull back the curtain a little bit. I know it makes people, some people don't like that, and I don't care. It's not what we're here for. Hi, Rai Rai. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your support. All right. Did I get through all of the news? Probably not. Let me just take a quick peek and tell you some more things. Hey, here's some more newses. Only one is not about a state. And this is going to come as, I know how you all are going to react because you've already seen stories like this before and you all have the same emojis when this happened, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. There was a survey done. I don't know if survey is the right word. There was some research done. And it turns out that people who live in states where cannabis is illegal do online searches for Delta 8 twice as many times as people who live in states where cannabis is legal. I know, shocking. There, I just dropped the story in the comments for you. So you can click that and read it. Sue, you're so kind. I get it. Like some states think they're regulating that. I mean, some states are regulating it. Some states are pretending like they're regulating it. If you're going to set something on fire and inhale it, or you're going to heat it up and vape it, heck, if you're going to put it in candy and swallow it, whatever it is. The name of the molecule, the number that comes after it, or the percentage that's in there, those two things are not the arbiters, nor should they be, of the need for stringent consumer safety standards. If you have really stringent, let's say you live in a state that has really stringent consumer safety standards, testing, labeling, packaging for regulated cannabis. You want the same for all of it. But that's not how it is in the United States right now. So that is largely the problem with products like Delta 8, is that they aren't subjected to the same rigorous quality control standard that regulated cannabis is typically subjected to. You don't know what you're buying. And lab tested doesn't mean anything if labs aren't regulated. Lab tested means nothing unless your lab is regulated, licensed and regulated by an accredited body. QR codes do not mean safety. Yeah, that's the tree. That stuff is nasty. Yes, labs can be bought, absolutely. I'm not saying that your regulated laboratories are all bought. I'm saying that if it's not, then it doesn't mean anything. All right, friends, you have had great questions. You all have had great questions. I'm so glad we've been able to get back into Friday shows. It was kind of difficult with all the legislative session moving pieces, but it's good to be back together, friends. I have a couple of upcoming events I want to tell you about. The first one that's coming up is the Kentucky Cannabis Conference. Here is a link to that. I should have put more spaces in there. Hey, it's March 7th through 9th in Kentucky, produced by Kentucky NORML, Kentucky Cannabis Foundation. Sorry if I got that wrong, Lauren. Thank you, Melissa. Keep me together here. So that's in March. Then we have another great event coming up. Periods there. Then we have another great coming up. We have another great event coming up the end of May in Aspen, Colorado. We have the 2024 NORML Aspen Legal Seminar. So if you're an attorney who needs continuing legal education credits, we have those for you. We're fully accredited in every state that requires CLEs for their attorneys. You can get those with NORML in Aspen. How much better does it get than that? May 30th through June 1st. You're going to go to norml.org/Aspen and you're going to register. And then we're going to have a great time in Aspen. Also, if you're not an attorney, you are still more than welcome to attend. It is a wonderful opportunity to meet connections with those working not only in criminal defense, but also in the legal cannabis industry, attorneys, advocates, business people. It's really a wonderful time to connect with people in a pretty amazing environment. So go ahead, register. There's a rate for you if you're not an attorney and you don't, or you're an attorney who doesn't need CLEs, you have discounted rates. And oh, these are out of order. Whoops, I know how months work. Hey, April 19th and 20th is the National Cannabis Festival in Washington, D.C. NORML has been a part of the National Cannabis Festival since its very first year. The people who produce that event are amazing humans. We love them, and we're so excited for them to have expanded their festival to 2 days of concerts this year. Really exciting. You can get tickets for that at nationalcannabisfestival.com. Hey, Brian. Brian says cannabis sales is always talked about in these bills. I'm sorry, Brian, are we talking about Virginia? Yes, Virginia. What about cultivars and licensing for such? Can you be more specific, Brian? We use the word, I can tell you this, we use the word chemovars in Virginia. That's what we codified. There is accounting for license, the licensing structure is outlined in the bill as well. As for how people get seeds and clones, since federal crossing state lines is illegal, so moving seeds and plants across state lines is considered federal interstate drug trafficking. We don't account for that in code. One day, years ago, the FBI came to my office, not because we did anything wrong, but they were like, you say a lot of things about cannabis policy, so we thought you would know some answers about how the licensing process went down in this state. And I was like, I sure do. And then they asked, that was one of the questions they asked, like, well, how do they get this stuff? And I was like, that our law doesn't say that. We weren't going to write a law that specifies how to commit federal interstate drug trafficking. It just happens magically. Anyhow, licensing of genetics. Thank you, Skyline. Had a feeling it was something about that. We don't talk about that in this bill. Yeah, tree. Okay, so everyone loves to bring this up, but aren't seeds and clones legal due to them having less than 0.3% THC? If you call it hemp, it is. If you call it cannabis, it is not, because, well, marijuana is what it is in Virginia. Other states do what you all want, but the definition of marijuana in Virginia still includes seeds and clones. I think it says like immature plants, whatever. So if you call it marijuana, then no, it's not legal. Licensing for, hey, Brian, thank you for clarifying. Licensing for growers to allow for more than 4 plants to be able to take cannabis to dispensary. Yes, there are small scale growers in this iteration. The latest compromise version, there's a small tier, like a craft grower tier. Yeah, yes, everyone loves to tell me seeds are hemp. I'm perfectly aware of what federal law says. I'm also perfectly aware of how the law is written in Virginia, and seeds are still included in the definition of marijuana in Virginia, which is where the problem happens. Oh, Skyline, boy, your comment, that's almost like when people sell THCA flower, right? Yeah, listen. Anyhow, is it illegal and is it enforced, are two entirely different questions. Yes, Tree, it's always good times. So good. I want to look at these comments. Hey, Cruel Consequences says they will be at the Kentucky Cannabis Conference. Just want everyone to know that you will have the opportunity to connect with Cruel Consequences and tell your story. And if you're not going to be there, you can connect with them online at cruelconsequences.org and tell your story. All these people just joined, and I'm so sorry that we're almost done because it's 5 o'clock. But listen, no ma'ams. Just excited I got to say that. No ma'ams. There is no fix this year on seed purchase in Virginia. Zero, zilch, nada. Nothing. Why would we care about that? Hey, I will say that in the adult use retail bill in Virginia, good news, there were 3 amendments that yours truly proposed, and I don't think one of them is some nerd stuff that doesn't matter, but 2 of them are super important. In code, currently there is an unintentional criminalization of things like using a grinder at home, or cooking flour that you grew yourself in butter to make a food product, or putting flour that you grew yourself legally in alcohol to make a tincture, or heating it up in olive oil to like, right, because it's separating resin or trichomes from the plant. There was really no intention to criminalize those actions, but someone in the Northam administration got a little clunky with the language. We'll just put it like that. Really, the intent was to prohibit dangerous extraction methodology. Like, you shouldn't be making BHO at home. Anyhow, we fixed that. So, well, we just took that section out, and that stuck in the compromise version. There was also a proposal in one of the bills. I don't even remember which one at this point, but it made it into this compromise bill that allows locality to impose additional penalties. So right now it's a $25 civil fine if you are smoking in public, or if you are offering or sharing in public. That's also prohibited. And the code in this version would also allow for a locality to impose a penalty, a fine, as well, for the same actions. But when they introduced it, they said open container, and I was like, no, we're not going to say that because someone has an open container on their person, like in a park, that they should have a stiffer penalty or a penalty from the locality. That's not prohibited under state law. Let's stick with what state law says. So at least those amendments stuck. Hey, Jeff, when is Indiana going to legalize it? When you elect better people. Elections have consequences, Jeff. Yeah, Brian, that's, yeah, a whole lot of legalese. That's what we do. That's what we do, so you don't have to. All right, friends. Yeah, yes, indeed, Jeff. All right, friends, this has been delightful. We've been hanging out for an hour, and I can't wait to, go outside and enjoy this rainy, gray day. Wherever you're watching, please hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. And hey, the weekend weed read, NORML's weekend weed read is hitting inboxes tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to 9:15 Eastern. If you're not getting weekend weed read delivered, you can fix that. Just go to norml.org/subscribe and check the weekend weed read box, and then you'll get that. And you'll get all of these tasty nuggets delivered to your inbox on Saturdays, and Thursdays is when our regular newsletter comes out. So make sure you don't miss what's happening. Hey, John, thanks for watching. Whittier, good to see you back. Hey, thanks everyone on Instagram who joined us, and for all the follows that I saw coming in. Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Hey, everyone, this has been a blast. I really hope to see you all back here next time. As always, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.